Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Question 1 from Melinda. I truly see that gratitude, pausing, humility, and service help me stay present. I notice that forgiveness hasn't been talked about. Question. How does forgiveness fit in with Vedanta?
Forgiveness is nothing but the intellect functioning and understanding how everybody is a helpless victim of their vasanas. So, forgiveness, maybe you've not heard it yet, but it's often talked about in Vedanta. In fact, it's one of the qualities of a jnani, a person of knowledge, in the 13th chapter. Shami says forgiveness. So, forgiveness means you understand that a person is helplessly acting according to their nature. You see a tiger tearing apart a deer, literally when it's alive. Something so cruel it seems, right? How much suffering the poor animal is going through. But you don't blame the tiger because you understand that's its nature. It's helplessly following its inherent nature. So that's what Maurice Maeterlinck says. Happy and blessed hour when wickedness stands forth revealed as goodness, bereft of a guide. Says you'll be happy, you'll be blessed when you understand wickedness as nothing but goodness without guidance. That's how you see the world. Goodness. But they don't have guidance, so they behave in the stupid ways, even evil ways. It's not that you tolerate it, you take the necessary steps, but you're not disturbed. That is the essence of forgiveness. What people misunderstand as forgiveness is you're very disturbed and somehow you let go. Forgive him. I disturbed me so much, but I'm somehow tolerating it. That is not forgiveness. That is intolerance. That is your wrong assessment of the world. So it does very much fit into Vedanta. It's an essential discipline of dealing with the world with this attitude. It's pure knowledge. Forgiveness is nothing but knowledge. It's not a feeling which you tolerate. It's pure understanding of how life functions. Get it? You okay? I mean, I don't know if you're here, but Melinda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
you are. Okay. Okay. So
thank you so much. This really helped a lot.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Question 2 from Melinda. A. How did the karmic wheel get rolling? B. Was there a mistake in the creation of this universe? C. And why wasn't the universe created perfectly with just light and sound, since that is the ultimate goal to begin with, returning to the source?
See, if you take the last question first of all, I don't know what you mean light and sound. It is bliss and permanence. That is the real nature of the self, God, divinity, which is what we are seeking. So just light and sound was there, it'd be horrible, it'd just be a dead matter. So what we are talking about really as human beings All of us want happiness. In fact, a state of happiness which never ends. Permanent happiness. That is nothing but divinity, the self or God. So the universe is a result of ignorance of that real state. It's nothing to do with creation or not. We have created the world out of our own ignorance. We don't know who we are. So we projected this world. So this is how this wheel got rolling. So you are the self, you've become ignorant of the self. Ignorance of that state of bliss means you are in sorrow. And your desires run to the world to try and fill this void, this unfulfillment. And you are acting to fulfill your desires. This is the cycle of the world, the wheel you're talking about, which in fact even the Gita refers to it as the wheel which is set in motion. Avidya, kama, karma. Ignorance. From ignorance arises desire. From desire arises action. And the problem is your actions are creating more desire. So instead of getting out of this wheel, you're more caught up in it. So there is no mistake, there is nobody who's created it. That's what we learned in Sunday's talk, right? The law of karma. It is your own ignorance, which is this whole thing is a one giant misconception. See, it's exactly like you are awake now, Melinda, and you temporarily lose sight of who you are. What happens? You start dreaming. You create a dream universe, a dream moon, a dream sun, a dream job, a dream spouse, a dream child. What does all that come from? Just ignorance of who you are. The minute you wake up, it's gone. So that's what the Upanishads declare. Shuddha Vijnana Swarupastvam. You are that pure consciousness. Dirgha Swapnam Idam Jagat. This world is just a long dream, is it? Just long, that's about it. That one is short. This is never ending. I go leave the house, deliver. Again come back, again deliver. The wheel of motion. Never ending wheel. What you started. Left his job thinking relax and all. Another wheel of motion started. This is the price you pay. You understand? Pay it and keep quiet. The karmic wheel. Just you know what's happening.
Question 3 from Melinda. The idea of non-dualism is taking time to make sense. I think I am blocking because I don't see the purpose of evil. Question. A related question, is karma the same idea as free will? Free will explains the woes of the world because of man inserting his will on another, and thus we have poverty and suffering.
See, continuing from the last question, the non-dualism is only saying that the self alone exists, nothing else. It's the absolute reality, the pure consciousness. So when you become ignorant of that oneness, non-duality, it means you've entered duality. It's opposites, right? So from that one consciousness, now it's become two, you and the world. That is ignorance. And then in this world, you have a choice, either to go along with this ignorance in the form of selfishness, or to get back to yourself. So because the world provides us this instant pleasure, you must understand what's happening at a full level. Humans have got addicted to that rather than understanding that true happiness lies in the self. And then you get more and more caught up, you want more and more, and that's where evil, what you say, starts. You disturb others, you exploit others. You harm others for the sake of your selfish desires. Why is it? What is all this evil going on? Just for a few dollars. Just more money they want. They're willing to kill others. They're willing to destroy, exploit, hurt, whatever. For what? You want more money. You want more power. Sad. And that is what you call. So it's free will. In the sense you've chosen to do. So now you have to understand. This is what this class is for. This knowledge is for. Start understanding. Reflect. Think. Dirgha samsara rogasya vicharo hi mahaushadam. For this long disease of worldly existence, only reflection, vichara, is the remedy, is the medicine. You got to think, you got to reason. What am I living here for? What am I doing? And that will help you get on the right track. So if you don't, this is the same thing. There's poverty and suffering now. When was it not there? As long as people are selfish, they will exploit others. Right from the time humanity started, there's poverty and suffering because of selfishness, nothing else. It's not lack of money or lack of resources in the world. It's just selfishness. What Victor Hugo says, right? There is always more misery in the lower classes than there is humanity in the higher. So there's always more suffering than there is humanity in those who have. They're not human beings. They don't have humanity. They don't have feeling for their fellow beings. This is going on for thousands of years. So you want to correct that. You have to work on building your own character, your own selfishness. Work on that. That's your free will. And help as many people as you can along the way.
Absolutely. Thank you. Question 4 from Chetan. Question: what is the impact of one's environment and DNA composition inherited from parents on our karmic journey? You mentioned today about our physical form being based on what we eat. It is also a function of our DNA and our metabolism, which we inherit.
Yes, see, now when I was talking in the law of karma talk, I'm talking how you can make it understandable, right? We didn't go into the depth, but you're very right. So I'm talking from birth, after you're born, or in fact, even when you're conceived. What is your physical body? It's a result of all the nutrition that's gone in, all the exercise you've done, all the environmental interaction, whatever it may be. So all that put together, cause, effect is your current condition of your body. But now you're saying DNA, of course. But that is also your cause. It is your desires. Your desires chose that parentage. Now that nobody understands. It's not your parents chose you. They gave you DNA. You chose to get that DNA by being born to them. See, if you have animals, this becomes very clear. If you have bird desires, means you have desires to fly. You'll be born to bird parents, right? You won't be born to worm parents. Just understand it. I'm oversimplifying it, but actually it's the truth. You have desire for tearing flesh apart, you'll be born to tigers and tigresses. You won't be born to cows. So similarly, you have a set of desires, it finds the right environment for its fulfillment, which includes your DNA and that particular environment you're born in. As simple as that. So again, same thing, cause, effect. You can't bypass the law. Why were you born to those parents and not your neighbor's parents, who you thought were much better. It's the same thing. Or worse. Why were your parents so good and that child's parents? This is what it is.
Question 5 from Subhash. Question: a human person attains self-enlightenment and realization, and when this person dies, what happens to the divine soul? Would this soul be born again?
What happens to the divine soul? Nothing happens. He realizes his divine soul. Soul is always there. Nothing happens to it. See, it's like the sun is always there. You take bricks and you take stone and you build a house and a roof and deny yourself sunlight. This is what has happened. This is ignorance. So what is the spiritual path? You break open those stone walls and the roof and you're in divine sunlight. So the sunlight was always there. Soul is always there. You just don't know it. So knowing it is enlightenment. And once you know it, why would you be born again? Birth is because of ignorance. I just explained. Because you don't know the self, you have desires. And because you have desires, you're born to fulfill the desire. This is the cycle. So soul is always divine. Soul is always there. The divinity within you. You've just covered it. Once the covering is gone, once the cause is removed, ignorance, effect is no more. You've transcended birth. Once you're in bliss, why will you come back to sorrow? Once you're enlightened and liberated, why would you come back to desire, ignorance and suffering? It's not possible. It's the whole goal of enlightenment is to get liberation from the cycle. Right?
Question 6 from Subhash. Is it possible for someone to be reincarnated in an animal form?
I don't know why everybody goes on asking this only. Why they are so scared. Every few weeks this question comes from somebody. I just told you, if you have such animal desires, you need an animal form. Suppose you have a desire to go on killing, morning, noon, night. Human society is not going to let you live, right? If you want to go on killing, you will need that form. It's a blessing for you. But you've come up to the level of a human being. It is almost impossible to come back. It's such a high level of thinking and feeling and emotions and thoughts compared to animal, which is so basic, rudimentary. It's almost impossible unless you develop such gross desires, which can only be fulfilled in an animal environment. I can't see anybody. Don't worry. Subhash, you're not here, but don't be worried. Whenever you catch up with this recording, you can rest assured. I don't think you'll be born as an animal.
Question 7 from Subhash. Human population on planet Earth has increased by billions. How and why?
You want me to tell you how your population increases? How and why? So, first of all, please understand, Atman is infinite. Is infinite in the sense you can't understand how infinite. Planets are trillions, galaxy, forget planets, the stars are in the hundreds of billions, galaxies are in the trillions. What are we talking? Nobody understands what they're asking. It's like on all the beaches of the world put together, Earth is one grain of sand. Imagine all the beaches of this world. One grain of sand is this whole Earth in the universe, right? How many beings are out there? What is happening? Nobody knows. Atman is infinite, first of all. Just as one reflection is one being, there can be trillions of beings. Why are you talking about billions? Right now, you know how many bacteria have passed through your gut? Each one is a living being all your life. Trillions. Trillions means trillions. How many ants are there in this town? Trillions, must be. Literally. Every few feet they would dig the ground, there'll be a mound of ants, which are in their thousands, tens of thousands. One town. So don't talk of population. You talk about you. The whole thing is a creation of your own ignorance. Get out of it. One more question we had. No, yours. Where is that? Hold on. Rajiv, Rajiv Sharma, that's you, right? When we take up the 3 yogas to progress in our spiritual journey, to detach from lower desires, how should we perform these 3 yogas, karma, bhakti, jnana, with detachment? See, the principle of getting rid of desires is you have to be attached to the higher, then only you give up the lower. You have to attach to something to detach from something else. You get it? See, your feet are on a ladder. You have to first put your foot on the higher rung, then you can release your foot from the lower rung, right? That's how you move up. So right now, if I ask you, are you attached to the toys you were playing as a child? What will you say? No. Why? Because you are attached to adult toys, as it were. You're attached to your family, your money, your career, whatever it is. Those attachments are so much superior, you don't even think of your toys, right? There's no comparison, isn't it? Similarly, the 3 yogas, karma, selfless action, bhakti, devotion, jnana, knowledge. So as you practice these, you are in such an elevated state of knowledge and understanding that your desires for the world go down. So don't worry about practicing the 3 yogas with detachment. You first get attached to them, then we'll talk. Right now you're attached to the world. So first get attached means first start practicing thinking, feeling of these higher values. Once you're established in it, then you must be careful of not getting stuck there. You must understand they are means to an end. Ultimately, the purpose of these 3 yogas is to get you beyond the world. But first, at least get into them, right? So don't worry. You pursue the knowledge with all your heart. You pursue devotion. Pursue selfless action. Get attached to it. Doesn't matter. Because only when you get fixated on them will you lose your infatuation for the world. Otherwise, you'll never move up. Got it? So first start with that. Once you are spiritually evolved to a point where you can, when you're fully established in the 3 yogas and there's no attachment for the world, then you can say, look, these are also a means to an end. I must get to the self. It's a very high state. So don't worry, get attached fully. Go all out. It'll help you. Got it?
Follow-up question. I think I wanted to ask also, how can we make sure that we don't get or treat this Vedanta knowledge more of an indulgence of intellect or mind? I think I was trying to ask along those lines.
No, I know what you were saying. How can we not get caught up and led away by this knowledge, right? What I'm trying to say is first you have to get into it with your heart and soul. Don't worry about indulging in the knowledge and all. But you are right. See, as you get into the knowledge, you must understand that the knowledge is only a means to an end. It is meant for helping you get to the self. So you take up that knowledge which does that. So, for example, Now you're attending our lectures and all. You say, yes, this is my guide or my teacher. You must follow. There are these 10 books written by my Guru, Swamiji, which covers the whole Vedanta, right? Now I'm telling you, read those. Indulgence would be, what about other books? What about other scriptures? What about other this? What about. Then you get led away by the intellectual pursuit. You're more interested in information rather than going into the depth, right? So there's much, much more information than you'll ever need in these books, in this course, right? So that's when you have to be careful. I'm saying first get into it. And same thing with devotion. Even if you get led away by the beauty of the bhajans or the songs, so what? I mean, it's positive because you're so attached to the world that higher attachment is positive. After a while, you have to say, whole day when I'm supposed to be working, I'm sitting and singing, indulging in it, right? That won't happen. It won't happen. That's what I'm trying to say. It's so theoretical as of now. You must focus on getting into the knowledge with your heart and soul. Got it?
Thank you.
But follow a discipline. Like I said, these 10 books. Devotion also, do it to your capacity. Don't get led away by it. Whatever you feel, I need to do half an hour of devotional singing. Don't spend 2 hours just because you're enjoying it. That's the little bit of a guardrail you have to keep. Karma. I want to serve selflessly. Serve. You can't be serving whole night and not getting your sleep just because you're enjoying it, right? So I need my rest also. General intellect you have to keep in anything in life, right?
Thank you.
Knowledge, for example, more than 1 hour in the morning with your books or your e-learning, and these 3 lectures a week, more than enough. You start doing more than that, it'll become stale. You'll get overwhelmed. There's no end to knowledge. You get it? The other day, somebody was asking me, that verse you quoted, where exactly, which Upanishad? I said, first, have you understood the concept? Why are you worried where it is? He said, I couldn't find it. I was spending so much time. First, spend time on understanding the concept. What difference does it make where it's from? Who said it? Does it make sense? Does it apply to my life? How am I living it? Those things are more important. Anjali, you had something?
Yes. Namaste, Gautamji. You said to just study for an hour in the morning, but if we are up from 4 to 6, can we study for an hour and reflect for an hour?
No. See, the 4 to 6 is the time which is ideal. I wouldn't even recommend 4. It's too early for most people who are working, and so that's why I say 5 to 6. But say you get up by 4:30, by the time you get some tea, sit in your table and all is 4:45. Do it till 5:45. Maximum you can go 1 hour 15 minutes, minimum 45 minutes. So all of you have to find. Some of you who are more intellectual or you have more time, you can go up to 1 hour and 15 minutes. More than that you want to go means you've not been studying only. Must be more thinking about a God knows what all during that time. So if you're concentrating and studying, intellect can't take more than 1 hour and 15 minutes. Not possible. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's for your long-term benefit, I'm saying. I've seen so many people who overstudied and over-reflected and damaged themselves. See, it's like your body. Your muscles can take only so much. You over-exercise, you'll damage your muscle. Intellect is exactly like your muscle at the thought level. You overdo it, you'll damage it. Muscle you can still recover. Intellect is extremely difficult to recover. because it's so subtle. Once you break it, so I'm warning you all, especially the ones who are serious, that relax. You should spend much more time in karma, the field of activity during the day, which you enjoy, and be selfless in that. That is the real effort, not just sitting and mechanically reading. So I would say up to 1 hour, 15 minutes you can go. Don't go more than that. And then some people say, no, I can't study 1 hour also. I would say at least 45 minutes, not less than that also. By the time you get into it, and at least you need that much time, minimum. So between that, find your poison. What do they say? That's what they say, no? What is the slang? Pick your poison.
Sweet spot, Gautamji.
Huh? Sweet spot. Okay. So the questions that were assigned have been taken up. Now we can get into the. Anybody else have any clarification? Yeah, Vasu.
Gautamji, I couldn't send this today, but this was. What does it mean to be truly established in yoga, and what are the qualities of a yogi? So I think you covered about devotional, devotional qualities, right? Are there overall qualities of a yogi, or and what does it mean to be truly established in yoga?
See, same thing. Established in yoga, acquiring yoga means the spiritual path, right? First, understand that. So, established in the spiritual path boils down to, in simple words, your thoughts are on the higher. So, let's say in a day you have 1,000 thoughts. I'm just giving an example. How many of those thoughts are actually on the self, on something higher, beyond your selfish interest? Hardly anything. So, you're not established in yoga. As simple as that. Being established in yoga would mean, it's not that you're all the time thinking self, me. Means whatever you're doing, whatever you are however you're functioning, your thought is always, how will this help me get to the self? So what drives you, what motivates you is always the thought of the higher. Just as right now, every thought you have is of the lower. How much more money can I make? How will my family get benefit? How will I get benefit? How can I enjoy this world? Where am I going next on way? Every thought is I and my right now, right? Imagine if every thought gets displaced towards the self. That is being established in yoga. So if 20% of your thoughts are on the higher in the whole day, it's a pretty good state. You're 20% spiritual. And as those thoughts become more and more, it becomes easier to grow. So it's not that it's the beginning which is difficult to get established.
Also, the thoughts doesn't have to be the self, right? It can be something beyond myself, right?
Yes, it starts with that. How can it be the self? It has to be some, like I told you, you're a doctor and whole day your focus is on how can I serve my patients. That is a person I would say is established in yoga. Not a person sitting and studying and closing their eyes. The thought is truly on how can I help these patients. They don't think of themselves. So these are people who are established in the higher, right? The morning you're studying, your thought is truly on what is this self all about? How do I get there? What is this mystery of this world? How is this whole? So your thoughts are on the higher. So at least 1 hour in the morning they should definitely be fixated on your study. That is what starts the whole thing. And once you're established in the higher, then all the other qualities follow, what you're saying. To the extent your thoughts are on the higher, you're peaceful. To the extent they're on the world, you're agitated. Simple. Extend your thoughts on the higher, you're self-sufficient. Extend your thoughts on the world, you're dependent. That's it. What else you want? This is established in yoga. So he says in Bhajagovindam, right? Yogaratova, Bhogaratova, Sangarat. Whether you're in yoga, whether you're in bhoga, whether you're with people, whether you're alone, whose thoughts are on Brahman. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam. He is happy, verily happy. Right? That is it. Your thoughts are on the higher and you're reveling in that peace and bliss while the world is going on. Correct?
Yes. Thank you, Gautamji.
Manjula?
Hari Om Gautamji. I had a question regarding, or a follow-up question regarding the very first question which we had today about the forgiveness. You had mentioned that it's understanding that the person is helplessly acting according to their nature. But it seems almost before we interact with people, we should assess their nature and then interact with them. But it's very hard to assess people, right? You'll end up interacting with them and then getting into issues later.
No. See, the point is obviously you just meet a person. You have to have a very powerful intellect to be able to assess them. You can. The more powerful your intellect, the quicker you assess. Person who's extremely powerful intellect, few sentences can size up the person, right? It's like a doctor who's so powerful in his perception. Few symptoms he sees, a patient walks in, he knows what's wrong with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. So, what you must do is, unless you have a firm assessment, err on the right side and don't make assumptions. See, the problem with us is we make assumptions. Mm-hmm. He's my husband's friend. He must be a good fellow. Husband, you're fighting all the time with. Husband's friend, how can he be a good fellow? Come. Such a nice. Wait. Take each man's censure, Shakespeare says, but reserve thy judgment. Reserve thy judgment. You understand? So wait till you make a proper assessment. Somebody comes to you who you don't know with a business proposal. You're going to get into a business proposal with them? There are fellows who will get in. Again and again. And lose everything. Sounds very good. You don't know anything about the person. You know how many people I know, literally, was so gullible. Wait, I don't know anything about this person. Sounds good enough. Let me wait. So never do anything in a hurry, including assessment.
Okay.
So wait till you. I know you've made a lot of mistakes. People get married also without any kind of assessment. Forget about anything else. Person you're spending your whole life with. First thing you must look for is the person selfish or unselfish. Last thing you look is that. Everything else is useless. Trust me. All absolutely irrelevant. How they look, you'll get neutralized in a few months. How much money they have, if they're a gambler, it'll all go. Which family they have, what difference does all that make? What is their character? Now, who assesses that way? So you don't know how to make a personal partnership, you don't know how to do a business partnership, you don't know how to handle your friend, because you have all kinds of assumptions. Mm-hmm. So as you apply your intellect, until you are comfortable, err on the right side. Don't make assessments. Don't work on assumptions. That will help you tremendously. So this is maturity. Keep quiet. Observe. Don't commit.
Thank you.
Anything else? Vasu?
Gautamji, more of a clarification. So you always say that the waker's mind is a substratum of the dreamer, right? But it is also true that isn't it true that the self is a substratum of all three states?
It's true.
Yeah. So
It is true.
why do we say that Veka's mind actually?
The self or pure consciousness is the substratum of waking, dream and deep sleep. You get it? Tasya traya avastha traya swapna, says the Upanishads. Of him there are three states, three dreams, he says. He dismisses all three as a dream. Another Upanishad, he says there are two dreams, deep sleep and dream. Right? What about waking? He doesn't even admit there's another dream. So there are two states. Another, like I just said, he goes one step further. There are three dreams. Even deep sleep, why do you demarcate? It's also an illusion. So why we say waking mind is the substratum of the dream is because that's how the waker experiences it. See, when you wake up from a dream, you don't say self is substratum of all three. How do you experience a dream? I imagined the whole thing, which is your mind, right? You experience it like that. So to explain that concept, it's very powerful. Just as you experience the dream as nothing but your mind, this whole world which you're experiencing is nothing but the self. In fact, this whole world you're experiencing is nothing but the self. Exactly like how you experience the dream. But technically you go down and say, no, of course it's not the waker's mind. There is no waker in the dream. It's just the self. One form it's the waker, one form dreamer, but the fact that you experience it as your mind, it makes that concept very clear. So it's for explanation purposes. Got it?
Thank you.
So it's more appropriate to say just as how you experience the dream, that's how the waker, the consciousness pervades the waking state. That's actually true. The problem is who thinks that much? Because that's how we experience it. It's not your fault. But all three, waking, dream, deep sleep, are all three projections on the consciousness, the self.
I wanted a clarification on the power of the intellect. So, in the FHI lectures, Swamiji says that a person who's very successful in the world has a powerful intellect. And you've told us many times that the intellect can be very good in one particular area, but it's not in others. But we also hear that once you develop your intellect, it performs well in many areas, right? Like it's all pervading, sort of.
Right.
What is the...
So correct. So your question is, it's mentioned in the FH, Fall of Human Intellect, one of the lectures, a person who's successful has an intellect, right? And obviously we do say intellect is not intelligence, and intellect, once you have it, pervades everywhere. That is also correct. See, when Swamiji is saying intellect there, he means intelligence. You understand? A person who's successful, what is it? They have more information than others. A doctor who has more information than another doctor is more successful because he knows more. But intellect is different. Intellect is the capacity to think apart from your mind. That only builds with Vedanta, with original thinking. That's the difference.
Once you develop that faculty, is that available in all facets?
Once you develop the intellect, is available in all facets. Not necessarily. Because in areas where the mind is stronger, that intellect will not function. So that is why they've given examples of so many sages who've fallen for wealth or women or whatever in the Puranas, right? So they had built their intellect, but when it came to a challenge which was beyond their capacity, the intellect is not strong enough to hold the mind. So if the intellect is so powerful that it can hold all the desires, then you're almost enlightened. So you got to be very careful till you hit the highest. So you see, even people who start off well and develop an intellect to a fair degree. I mean, I've seen it because I've been in this field 30 years. When the challenge is beyond them, they succumb. They get caught up. Invariably. Invariably. So,
if you realize that your mind is weak in a particular area, what do you do then? Like,
if you realize your intellect is weak in a particular area, you'll be extremely careful not to take chances in that area. You will stay away. You will be careful of your interaction, how much you're contacting that area until you're strong enough. If you're truly spiritual and want to get over it, if you're not, you indulge and all and you're gone, right?
but it's not a sensual, let's say it's not a sensual area where you realize that you are overthinking certain things. Then how do you use your...
If it's not, it's nothing to do with sensual or emotional areas. That's what you're saying. It could be emotional, sensual, ego, anything. You have to be aware that where you're weak and withdraw. See, the only way to get over any weakness is you withdraw from a conducive environment and strengthen your intellect with knowledge. There's no other way, right? So if you're over indulging, even emotionally, in some area where you're weak, you have to withdraw. So you have to restrict your contact with that object of emotion, whatever it is. You have to set your boundaries, not succumb. That is the difficulty. It's not just physical sense objects, it could be emotions. So where you're weak, it's very difficult to withdraw. That is why nobody grows in the areas of their real weakness. All stay exactly where they are. So to cut it off. Ashwattamenam suvirudamulam asangashastrena dridena chitva. Says in the 15th chapter, you have to cut this firmly rooted tree, Ashwattha tree. He compares this samsara to a deeply rooted tree, huge tree. You know how big a tree is above the ground? The roots are the same under the ground. Grow same. You see a massive oak 40 feet above or 100 feet, that much the roots are. It's unbelievable. Which you don't see. So this attachment, which you don't see because it's all in the head, right? So deeply rooted. He says, cut it with that firm axe of detachment. So areas where you are weak, or you have to say no. You mentally indulge. You're going to be in trouble. And trouble in the sense you're going to remain where you are. Why do you keep calling your children? I'm not about you, people. Why do you keep calling your children every day? If that is your, I'm all the time thinking. Restrict it. Once in 3 days I call. They'll also be happy, you'll also be happy. You didn't call back, you didn't call back, you didn't. They also sitting on your head. Why you keep calling me? So that is the emotional part of it. Alright?
So when you recognize that something is bothering you, like you get either anxious or you're upset, anything that this thing, and you see that's happening. So your intellect is there that you're recognizing that thing while it's happening. So every time that happens to me, I remember the story about that man who has a servant who's mean to him. And he keeps that servant. He says that reminds me to be this. So is that a strategy to use at that time? If this is a challenge that's been given to you to be able to overcome that. So when you withdraw, then you never really get that.
Yeah, that's so. What you're talking about, your question is that example we give of the man who did not fire his arrogant and rude servant, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So the story, for those of you who don't know, there's this man who has everything, very rich, very well liked, and all his friends, all the time they hang around him. And one day, one friend tells him, "Look, everything about you is so great, and we love coming here. Why don't you fire this servant of yours? He's the most arrogant, rude fellow, spoils the whole atmosphere, you know." So this man says, "See, everywhere I go, everybody is so nice to me. And I know why, because I have money." So they're all nice to me. And all of you also, you don't care for my money, you're my friends, you care for my entertainment, and we all have a good time. All of you are so nice. Everybody is so good. This fellow is the only fellow who's bad. So he forget about you. He shouts at me also. I am paying him, and I ask him, "Get me a cup of tea." "You get your own tea, man. I'm your servant or what?" I say, "Yes." He still doesn't understand. "You are my servant." Get lost. I'm not anybody's servant. Like that he talks. So he says, I keep him to keep my ego in check, right? Because that's the only time I can practice being apart from my ego. Otherwise, everybody's so nice to me. See, this is different situation. This person can handle that ego, that situation. But there could be another situation which you can't handle. So that is what we are talking about. You're so much indulging in it that being in it is taking you away from your path. If that fellow was so affected by this guy's rudeness that he can't go to work and he can't sleep, I would say fire the fellow, right? So you understand the context.
So it's the degree.
There's the degree. This guy can easily handle this person. Just keeps him alert. So like Swamiji used to say, I keep getting letters and all the time, "You changed my life, you're so great, Swamiji, you're so this, you're so that." Once in a while I get a nasty letter also. I keep only those. Good letters I throw. Because who wants to go on hearing you're so great, you're so this, you're so that. But I want to hear a fellow saying you're a most useless fellow. What is the academy you started? Spoiling the lives of these young fellows, all this. So there are guys who like that. So you must be unaffected. Point is that. Good and bad. Get it? So that's what. So she just wants the excuse. I'll keep going on vacation because that's how I'll handle that. I'll come out of it one day. So keep going. Why stay away from that? I don't want to stay away from that. In and through the vacation, I must be completely calm. No, you don't know you think I don't know what you're trying to ask? Let me be complete. Let me be completely in whatever I'm doing, so I can keep facing the challenge and continue getting nowhere. So, as long as you're not justifying your desires, you got to be careful. Okay.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Is unselfish action the same as selfless action?
Is unselfish the same as selfless? Not necessarily. So, unselfish action, when it is done with an ego or desire, it is just less selfish. That's why we make this distinction. So, for example, a person could be building a hospital, but he wants recognition. He wants his name there. He wants his family to be recognized as great, It is an unselfish action. You can't deny that. He's serving the public. He's not serving himself. But there is a desire backing it. That same action, if it is done without any ego or egocentric desire, I am doing this because I ought to do it. I have excess wealth, it ought to be given, shared with the world. Purely with the intellect. That is selfless. You understand? You could be doing a physical exercise of your body, it could become selfless. Suppose you say, I'm keeping this body alive for the sake of enlightenment. Or you could be doing exercise for how you look. I want to live longer. You understand? I want to look better. This is selfish. So any action, if it is done with the intellect, with no selfish motive, is selfless. It could, like I said, could be taking care of your body. And you could be doing an action of teaching this the Gita with a completely selfish motive. I want name, fame, I want following, money, whatever it is. It comes totally selfish action. Got it?
Thank you.
Right. So, any other questions? We can take them up next week. Otherwise, we'll meet on Saturday for the Vedanta class. Hari Om.